Hey guys, it's Chase here on Gemmy Master Animatronics, and today what I have for you is the Gemmy 2011 6-foot-tall air-blown inflatable animated 3 Witch Sisters. This is an inflatable that I got from my friend Lucas, so huge shout out to him. And before we go any further in the video, obviously you probably noticed the different background. This area is, I guess, gonna now be where I film all the inflatable reviews when the weather is horrible outside, like right now. Fortunately, the weather isn't so bad where I can't just go outside sometime during the day and film a review. But for whatever reason, this week, it's just rain, 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 and for the times it's not raining, it's going to be super cloudy. And with an inflatable that has so many vibrant colors, you want to get this in the best lighting as possible, and so for the sake of this video, this is going to be in this area, so without further ado guys, or I guess I should say, welcome to the studio. So this is an inflatable that is basically one of 3 of, in my opinion, the most nostalgic inflatables that Gemmy has ever done. Those 3 consist of the one I have in front of you, the Witch Sisters, the Gemmy head-turning cat, the black one, and the, I guess it's 5 foot long, animated inflatable Dracula coming out of coffin. So those 3 inflatables to me were the most nostalgic inflatables that Gemmy's ever done, because when you think of air-blown inflatables, those are the 3 I believe you think of when you're doing the Halloween section. And I actually happen to own all 3 of those, and I'm not just being biased because I own all of those. I've always had this opinion. I think that those 3 are just the most nostalgic, and I mean those are ones that you would always see in party stores, like Walmart, like any of those, Halloween City, like any of those places, and I would always see those inflatables growing up when I would go to Party City. So those are the most nostalgic to me, and the one I have in front of you out of the 3 is absolutely my favorite because this inflatable is one that I would always see growing up. Given the fact that this was made from 2009 to 2012, there were many different years that this item was sold, and many different stores as well. This one was more of like an online favorite because this was basically sold everywhere online, but as far as in store, this was still sold like a lot of places in stores, but I believe this was more of an online favorite item. But I do remember seeing this one at Party City. Like every time we'd go in around the year of 2011, it would always be there up high on a shelf. And fortunately with my Party City, and hopefully for all your guys' as well, if something wouldn't sell, they would just put it out the next year. And because of how pricey Party City was back in the day, they would always have nostalgic stuff like this. Like even in the year of 2015, I remember still seeing this inflatable, and they had quite a few. So it's great to have this one in my possession. This one has so many childhood memories, even though I never really owned this one previous to 2020, because I did own this one in 2020. Previous to then, I never owned this one, but I'm so glad to have this one back in my possession. This one's so nostalgic for me, and I am so glad to have it in such perfect shape, because speaking of the shape, this one is brand new. This is not in brand new shape. This one literally was brand new. Not too long ago, the tape was cut on this item, I think about 2 years ago, and it was never used. It was bought brand new, never used. It was just open to test, and then it was sold to my friend Lucas, and then it was sold to me. Actually, more traded. But unfortunately, the original owner, for whatever reason, decided to get rid of the original box, which makes no sense to me, because as far as I knew, it was actually in pretty good shape. But I have fixed that issue. As you guys can see in front of you, I have basically made my... I called it an original box. I've photoshopped all of the specs in the box. Like I photoshopped the Airblown inflatable logo, the Gemmy sign, the, one piece, all the information, the arrows that indicate that the witch's heads move, all that good stuff. I photoshopped that all on, and I think it turned out amazing. So yeah, it's not the original box, but I would say that this is absolutely the next best thing, as opposed to just printing on a picture of the item without like all the, all the other stuff. But I think that's about it to say about this thing. There are 2 animations on this, and there are so many vibrant colors. I know I've already said that, but I mean, my God, this is one of the most colorful Halloween inflatables you will ever find. So without further ado, I guess I will go ahead and inflate it. I will take the camera off of the stand and get up close with this thing. I just wanted to have it kind of on the stand for the time being for me to talk about it, and then I'll go ahead and get inflated. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get this item inflated. Now, this inflatable has a 125, so as you can imagine, with the size of this thing, it's going to get up pretty quickly. Yeah, and just like that, it's up. So I'm going to go ahead and position it, and then I will get back to you guys. Alrighty, guys, so here it is. As you can see, it works flawless. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't. It's brand new, but still, you can see it works amazing. So let's go ahead and get an overall look at this thing. So you guys can see right off the bat, you've got the two smaller witches. They both have the head turn, and I absolutely love that. Now, interesting fact about this one, all three of the heads were intended to move on this, but it was taken off, I guess. It was taken off pretty early on because the two prototypes that have not really surfaced, but the pictures that exist of the two prototypes that I've seen, the middle witch's head does not turn. However, the stock image of this, you can see there's quite a bit of differences. So one of the biggest ones being that the head on the witch, you can see it does move. It's got the little overlapping fabric right there that would cover the animation motor. So that's now gone. So the witch's head is now facing forward now with no animation. And also, there is a black outline on the Trick or Treat banner, which is no longer on here. Now, I don't really... I can take it either or. I still think it looks great. I mean, I think it would have been cool if it still had that outline, but I mean, either way, it looks great. Now, if it didn't have the banner, that's where I would have started to complain, because the banner on this is absolutely awesome. I think it looks great. So if it did not have that banner, it definitely would have been lacking. But I do like it much better without the middle witch's head moving. I think it would have been kind of overkill. Like the 2018 Witch Sisters that Gemmy released, that had so much animation. All three characters on it, I believe, moved. There was a kaleidoscope in the cauldron, and it had sound, and that to me is way too much. As much as I love it when Gemmy puts in a lot of money and effort into the designs, that is just an eyesore to me, and so I much prefer this model. But as you guys can see, the middle witch stands up to about 6 foot tall. I would say that's right about 6 foot, maybe just below. And you guys can see it's got, all the witches have this shredded hair, which looks great. The shredded hair is something that a lot of the older inflatables had, and I mean, it screams classic, the shredded hair. So all of them have it, and that looks great. And the overall features on the witches themselves I love, because it actually has pop-out features. Their noses actually stick out. Now, if this one was made nowadays, the noses would just be printed on, and I don't think that looks as good. I love it when inflatables have pop-out features. Like the cheeks on this one right here, the nose, the little chin down here. And I mean, this one is just repulsive. I mean, you can see how far the mouth and everything comes out. So all these pop-out features absolutely make this inflatable. I love everything about this one. It is just perfect. This inflatable has 2 tether points on it, and this one might actually have a defect. I'm not sure. This might just be the model, because I don't remember if my old one also was like this. But as you guys can see, the tether attachment right here does not have the plastic that is supposed to secure this little tether loop on. Usually there's plastic behind this fabric right here where this is sewn onto, but as you can see, the 2 fabrics that are sewn together was just sewn on top of this, so that I can't imagine would hold very well. So I'd be a little bit worried to use this outside, especially in high winds, because without that big circular piece of plastic holding this on, there's nothing but a few threads from these two connecting to each other that's holding this on. And it's the same thing on that side too, so that does kind of worry me. That does worry me a little bit. But other than that, this thing is perfect. The fabric is in perfect shape. There's no thin spots. It absolutely wants to explode, you cannot push on this. I mean, it does need the fan it has, because if it did have anything weaker, the animation motors would not have been supported. They would just sink in, so they did not go overkill on the fan. It absolutely does need this, but it's so nice to see a large fan on a small item like this, because, I mean, like, I mean, I haven't said this in a while, but you just cannot push in on this. Now, depending on the model that you get, is determined if the mouth is actually going to be down like that, or kind of scrunched up like that. Now, mine happens to be kind of in the middle, but you can see there's more screen printed details, and it's just being covered up because of how tightly this inflates. It's kind of pushing the mouth up, which is not a big deal, but depending on the model you get, some of the mouths are actually down, so it really depends on what year you get this one from. One of the cool features on this is that this is actually meant to hold candy, so you can put a lot of candy in this, and trick-or-treaters can come up and take the candy out of the cauldron, which is absolutely awesome. Now, I don't know how many people, I don't really know anybody that would do that, and I'm not saying that I don't think anybody would put candy in here. I'm just saying that out of everybody that I've known to own this one, I have never known any of them to actually put candy in it, but it does have that option. On the concept art for this, it doesn't really mention anything about putting candy in, but you can see it clearly is meant to. You've got the mesh right there, so when you don't have candy in this, water won't stay in here. It can just run right through, and there is a hole on the bottom of the cauldron right here where the water will just run directly through. So very, very smart on Gemmy's part. I love that you can use it either or, and if you don't end up putting candy in here or whatever, it'll still be fine in the elements, because instead of water, you know, puddling up all the way to the top up here, it'll just go through the mesh right there. So, and also, candy won't go through. You know, if they just put a hole right there, candy would fall through, but they have to have a hole because water needs to go through, so they put the mesh there. So, good thinking on Gemmy's part. The witches are attached in a couple different areas. They're both attached to the cauldron right there, and then their arms are also attached right there. Now, their arms kind of look weird attached like that because it bends right there, which is not really natural, but that's how all the models are. I don't know why it was done like that, but it does kind of look a little bit weird in my opinion. I can show the back side of this. You guys can see it's got the streamers that hang down from the witch's arms. All of them have that. And then you guys can see the animation motor right there. And this is the fabric that I was talking about that's supposed to kind of come down and cover that animation motor so you don't see that. It does have a zipper on the back right here. Instead of it being around the fan, it is along the back of this switch right there. So you can see the fan right there. And again, that is a 125. So very powerful fan. Makes this thing want to explode, and the fabric is great. It's all crunchy. There are some soft areas on this, but that's just how 2011 fabric is. With the amount of 11 inflatables that I've owned, the 2011 ones, there's like no saying what the texture of the fabric's going to be. If you get older inflatables, typically they're either going to be silky or crunchy, but with these, you have some fabrics on here which is like silky, like this up here, but then you have like the black right here, which is crunchy, and the green crunchy too. So I mean, it's just it doesn't really make sense, you know, the different thicknesses of the coating on the fabrics, but that's just how it is. And you guys can see on this model the hats do not inflate. On the old one that I had, they did inflate, but on this one they do not. If you give it a little bit, like maybe an hour, they might inflate, but to me, if something takes more than like 5 minutes to inflate on this, then it's not made to inflate. But it does have the capability of inflating, so if you do leave this one out for inflated for a good hour, the hats might fill all the way up. I don't know. I don't think so, because this seems to be as much as air's going to go in, and if there's not a lot of air going in the first place, then I don't think the hat could possibly be fully inflated, because there needs to be enough airflow to make it puff up, but there's just not that airflow going into it. So even with the 125, it just will not go in. Before I end the review, I do want to show the box. that I made for this. The back, I did not make white. I still need to do that. It still has the United States Postal Service logos and everything on it. But the sides of it are all white. And the middle here, it says Airblown Inflatable. It says lights up. Animation, or animated. Trick or treat. And I did Photoshop these arrows and all of this. I mean, everything on this I Photoshopped besides the... Well, I did Photoshop it, but I could not find the Airblown Inflatable logo. So I just took a picture of it off of one of my inflatable boxes and then just made it look nice and cropped it out and put it on this. So it ended up working out. And then you can see I have on the box 2011 Gemmy Industries. I made a mistake right here. I put www.gfmmy instead of Gemmy, so I did mess up on that part, but it's so small that I don't think anybody would notice. And then I have one piece. It takes AC, and then it's showing that it is rated for outdoor use and indoor. And again, you can see on the prototype, it is hand painted, and the head on this witch does move. So again, I'm very glad that they ended up going with the non-animated middle piece instead of having them all animated. I think that would have been overkill, so I do like it a lot more with just these two like this. But yeah, that's basically it. Really hope you guys enjoyed. This is the Gemmy 2011 6-foot-tall Airblown Inflatable Witch Sisters. I love this one. If you can find it, I highly recommend it. I mean, I think a few party stores might actually still have this one to this day. While this item is considered rare, there are a few party stores and garden centers that may still carry this item because everybody overstocked on this one because it was such an amazing seller for so many years. So each store got around at least 20 to 30 of these, which doesn't sound like a lot nowadays, with given how many a store gets of like a animatronic or whatever, but back in the day that was a lot, especially for a garden center or a party store. So, but yeah, that's basically it. Really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys again next time.